folks, JD here, and I've been asked a question. Right, what I would say straight off the bat when it comes to any flying vehicles, whether it be drones, planes, helicopters, double check what your laws are in your particular country or in your city or wherever. Don't just rely on what I or other people say. Just do a little bit of homework, go out and have a little look and see what they say, see what your country's laws are. Just because it's very good just to obviously abide within the laws there. Now, Daniel, you've asked me one question, give me two examples. So can you please do a video on safety, example, wind and trees? So, right, let's start off with wind. So how do I measure wind and how do I know when to fly and when not to fly? I measure wind using this. Now, I used to show it on some of my videos and then I stopped because it's not really interesting. So this is where the wind barrels through there and shows you here a miles per hour gauge there to show you exactly how fast the wind is going. Now, just for me, this is just what I do, but if any particular wind is over 9-10 miles an hour, I will not fly. Sorry about that, just had to plug my camera in. So yeah, if it's over 9-10 miles an hour, I will not fly. Even if it's a really still day and even if it's a really sunny day and there's no clouds, if there's a wind faster than 10 miles an hour, I will not fly. That's just because when I first started flying, when I first started learning, there's a video on this channel, I think it's the very first or second video that I put up. And it's not something I'm proud of, but it's there just as a reminder to me of exactly what can happen. I took a quadcopter up into the air, not very high, and it got blown into a tree. This was 2.5 years ago, and obviously that's left me with the mental image. Now, I've seen exactly how quick a drone can move, but even though my skills have improved, it's still stuck with me, and I thought, right, okay, I'm not doing that. And as a consequence, you carry that through. So, you know, I only fly on days in which I consider safe. Now, as for trees, I fly in a park, and I fly in a field. And obviously in both areas there are trees, but they're not directly hanging over where I fly. They are to my right and to my left. What I would say is do not fly directly underneath trees. So this is why I like to use the basketball court in the park for some flights, because that basketball court, the fence, that's like a boundary fence for me. So it ensures people on the other side that I'm being safe and I'm inside the little park. And it also ensures that when people see me, they haven't got to worry. They can then turn around and be like, oh, it's fine, he's locked away, he's locked himself in there. And also because then I know that it was very helpful, especially when I was learning to fly, because I had a boundary that I had to learn how to turn properly, because if I didn't, I was going to hit the fence and my drone would get damaged. So I decided that that was a good place to fly, and then obviously over the coming months and years, that I've just stuck to flying there. Recently, though, I've moved to a field where there are a lot of trees. Now, as the weather's breaking, it's easier for me to get to that particular place. In the heights of winter, I can't get there. So with that place, it's a massive field, and there's trees all around, but obviously I stand directly in the middle of the field, and I know exactly how much distance I have directly in front of me, left, right, and behind, before I even come close to the tree line. And also, as you'll see in a lot of my videos, I don't tend to fly too far away from myself. I like to have, say, a boundary of a good maybe 20 foot to each of my main compass points. That's just what I prefer. It's just things that I find, if I stick to all this together, then I find that I have a safe and enjoyable flight, and I can make some pretty good videos out of that as well. And obviously there have been exceptions, like the Eachine EX1 that took itself up to 100 foot before it then landed when I went to return to home. That did panic me like hell. But at the same time, it's also, if the quadcopter's doing that itself, then it knows exactly what it needs to do because it's programmed to do that. Now, you've got another little question here as well. How to fly as a beginner? Right, that's, again, these are really good questions, but they're so difficult to answer, I think, because I learn in a quite a strange way to everybody else, I think. And okay, how I learned was I was very eager to get out into a park, but as I say, I had some prior experience in flying planes and helicopters. Mostly planes. The helicopters didn't go very well, and I just kind of understood how the throttles worked and things, and I just kept on basically hammering out I just kept on going to the park at like 5 o'clock in the morning in the height of summer when it's properly daylight, and just flying around 5 until 10 past 5 until the battery ran out. Then I'd come home. But I think with hindsight, it's a wonderful thing, I think what I would have done first is I wouldn't have been so eager to take to the park. I would have bought a little nanocopter for about, £8 to £9, and then flown it around inside the house. Because that way then you get to learn exactly how a quadcopter works. You get to learn exactly how much pressure you have to put on the transmitter, and what your movements are going to be like when that is then relayed. Because if you slam your hand down on the throttle, what's the quadcopter going to do? Well, it's going to take off like a rate of knots. But you have to, as much as learning how to turn corners and how to bring a quadcopter back to you when it's away from you, you have to learn how to increase and decrease altitude smoothly as well. And I think from my perspective, the best way that I found to do that was when I had crashed my original drone in the tree, as I mentioned earlier. We got it down, and then I decided to start to learn to fly that in the house. And it was only when I was in the house that I started to actually pick up how to use a quadcopter properly. And then you can add other factors into it then at a later date, like environmental factors like wind and things like that, and how to counteract against the wind and everything else, and how to use the wind in some options as well. In some cases, use the wind to your advantage and actually ride the wind and then turn it around, and then you add more throttle to cut through that wind. But yeah, that is a difficult one to answer, how to fly as a beginner. I would suggest don't give up. Patience. So there's a playlist I've made up, which is I've put a link in the description, and I've just put down the basics of how I learned into a few videos. Now obviously everybody learns differently. Some people won't agree with what I'm saying, I'm sure, and some people will think, oh, it's a great idea, that really worked for me. But this is just how I learned, and it was just a few basic movements on how I could control the quadcopter and how I could learn at my own pace. So there you go, Daniel. I hope that's helped you, mate. For everybody else, if you've got questions, please just ask me in the comments. Now I do try and get around to people's comments as quickly as I possibly can. Obviously, there are sometimes a couple of hours because either I'm sleeping or I'm in work. But obviously, as soon as I get an opportunity, I will reply to you. If you've got any videos you want me to make with quadcopters, I've had a few people ask me, can you buy this, can you buy that? If the quadcopter's 500 quid, chances are I'm not going to buy that. But if you have a quadcopter you'd like me to buy, then I'm happy to give it a go, happy to let you know exactly what it's like. So there we go, folks. I hope this has helped. I hope this hasn't just been me rambling on for hours and I haven't bored you to death. So yeah, let me know what you think. I wish, if you're just getting into this hobby, then I wish you all the very best of luck, and I hope you will really enjoy it like I have. And I hope that you will. I hope that you'll carry on with the hobby and everything goes well for you. Thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD, you've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Hello and welcome to all the new subscribers. I hope you're enjoying the channel. So until next time, my friends, happy flying.